Hey, hi, we're going to do some yoga today. We're going to talk about setting boundaries as I get my microphone set up. The dogs are walking away. We need a couple of props for today's practice. That is, if you have a roller, if you had a half roller, that'd be probably a little bit better for today's practice. If you have a roller, these things run about $20, $30. In any of the stores, you can get them on Amazon anywhere. I'm not going to really talk about the roller this week, but if you have one of those, that's good. If you don't, of course, our yoga blocks, so have those ready. And then we have the yoga strap. If you have a dachshund, you got to be careful because they get right up underneath what you're doing. So let's start out talking about boundaries. Boundaries, right? So they're going to sit down. Boundaries are what we... the limits for what we do and what we'll tolerate. So what I do, boundaries, I'll do this, I won't do that. What we tolerate, we always have best intentions. I'm only going to stay as long as, this clock time, and then you change your mind because you don't want to say goodbye or you don't want to disappoint someone. So there's many reasons where we go beyond our boundaries. So those are interpersonal ones. There's the outer ones are behaviors. When we violate those, we feel guilt and shame. Something we shouldn't have done. There's a mid-level, kind of the relationship between somebody important between us. That's when you care too much. So my significant other may want something more and more and more, and I just give in. I just keep giving, or I care too much. And so you feel that in the relationship. And then there's the inner boundaries. How you see yourself, how you relate to yourself, and that's the one that we're almost always neglecting. And when we do that, our nervous systems go off balance. So we're going to talk about the nervous systems a little bit. For today's practice, I want you to listen to the nervous system. And when I do this, I'm touching my belly. I want to give you a whole diagram of how there's a peripheral nervous system, the central nervous system, the autonomic, the somatic, all the way down to the sympathetic, the parasympathetic, and the enteric. The enteric is sort of the most innermost nervous system, and it has to do with the digestive system. Why is that so important? Well, because our enteric, our nervous system that has to do with digestion, is the one that's the key to sensing things that we can't really see, but we can feel, and our rest and digest depends on our enteric nervous system. So I want you to pay attention to how your gut feels. Now, when I say listen to your gut, I don't mean just go out there and eat the whole plate of brownies. That's not listening to your gut. That's just not, having any discipline. What I want you to do when I say listen to your gut is, how do I physically feel? Does it feel like there's pressure on your lap at any given time? Or is there some sensation that this just isn't right? You look at a person, you just know it's not right. We always ignore that. We always ignore that. So when I say listen, I mean just listen. Trust, I just mean pay attention to it. I don't mean throw everything else out that you ever knew. You have to still do these other things. So if you don't have a dachshund, I'm sorry, but if you do, please put it aside for now. We're not going to use that. I want to talk about our feet. Our feet is what connects us, and it's what we use for walking. And a lot of times we get overwrought. We're running through the holiday season. It's our feet that really suffer. Of course, our shoulders and neck, we'll talk about that a little bit too, but our feet. So just a little anatomy of the foot. There's muscles along the top that move the toes up, and then there's muscles along the bottom that move basically the toes down. And your foot looks a lot like your hand. There's those same joints, but most of us can't move just some of the joints. We wind up moving all of it. So I want you to find the arch of your foot, and then the ball mound, and then just between those two, we're going to call that space, the toe box, the big toe mound box, and hook your finger there, and then wiggle your toes. Look at your toes and see if you can feel that muscle. So those are those muscles. Now the same thing on the pinky side, you can feel that muscle, and then across there, that's where the strap is going to go. So where that muscle is moving. So take your strap, put it right across there. Notice how it's a little bit at a diagonal. And then with the end of your strap, we're going to sort of wrap, so that you're not holding so much with your fingers. I don't want, this kind of tension in your forearms. We want like the biceps to do the work here. So wrap, it's like sort of, so I want you to lay down. I'm going to stay up for a moment, because what we're going to do is move the pinky toe side in and out. So we're twisting at the foot and the ankle in and out. Twist the pinky toe side in towards you and out. I want you to feel your ankle crack, pop, and move around. I've said before that we have a lot of injuries in our ankles. It's kind of like our shoulders. We almost always, because we land on our feet all the time. And then flex, and then point, and then flex, and then point. I'm just talking to the people in the camera. You can't see them. That's why this is bothering you. Now rock the big toe side in, and then the big toe side out. So it's a little bit the same. Now when you come all the way down and straighten your leg, we're going to try pointing and flexing, but really you're doing a bicep curl here. You're moving your arms in towards your chest. I'm used to this, which is probably not something that you're used to having, but I'm used to this. And then we'll do the other leg. So again, keep the hands wrapped there. So find that spot, remember, underneath the big toe mound. You want to take the pinky toe side up and release. Up and release. Hear or feel that angle. Now we have nerves that go all throughout the body. So the peripheral nervous system, somatic nervous system, but they all interconnect in the big brain. And the brain has to figure out what everything means. Excuse me. I need a little bit less dog. Lay down. They're a little upset because Claire left this morning, and so they're thinking, where is she? Is she coming back? This is where we flex and point. You see the white dog? She's going to keep looking. Her name is Ivory. She's going to keep looking around. She's going to wait. She's waiting. She's going to stand guard. So what we're doing is we're stretching all of the muscles around the ankle and the foot, the midfoot, the forefoot, all the parts of the foot. And I think when we came all the way down, we turned the big toe side in and then out. In and then out. So really trying to move. There's actually many, many muscles. And the names of the muscles in the foot have very long names that are like twice as long, 3 times as long as all the other muscles, which is funny because the foot's a little smaller than the bigger muscles, but there you go. I didn't name them. All right, you can do a little circling just to figure that. But again, we're keeping pressure. If I haven't said that, keep pressure with these biceps here. All right, so now we've kind of awoken the foot muscles and the ankle. So from here, let's come to hands and knees for a moment. And just stretch the spine some. Let's just wake up the spine before we do any more. So when we get stressed and we have that tension in the bodies, truthfully, you don't even know it, right? Honestly, if we're honest about it, we go through our day doing everything we do, and we never even really stop to think, what's really going on in my body? Because we don't have to think about it consciously, because those things will work pretty well on their own, but only pretty well. To have full health, to have full functioning of the body, we have to participate. And participate is acknowledge what's going on. So one of that acknowledgement is setting boundaries. So maybe I will do hands and knees, but I won't do downward dog. So in yoga, now if you have a dog's arm there to put underneath your heels, that would be good. Little dog arm there. I'm not stepping on her. I want you to think I am. I'm not going to hurt them. So downward dog. Now let's try this. Let's come to plank. Now notice when I come to plank, I may shuffle my feet a little back, or I may walk my hands a little forward, but not too far forward. It's still the idea of like a 4-legged table. Try lifting one leg. Now I want you to notice the core. If you didn't contract the core now, you've probably fallen, or you've sagged the back down. So we're learning how to use the core. Let's go to the other leg. And the reason I want you to learn how to use your core is because that's where boundaries start. So how do I know when enough is enough and too much is too much? Let's put that leg down. Let's stretch back to child's pose. Take the block, put it underneath your head. Bring your hands to the side of the block and relax. Let's give this a couple of breaths. Inhale and exhale. So we go from a state of high level of anxiousness or attentiveness into relaxation. And if we can switch between, it's called the parasympathetic, sympathetic nervous systems. They're different nervous systems. If we can switch between, that is, if we learn how to come back down we actually can increase our health. So for a moment, I want you to forget about diet, forget about exercise. I can't believe I'm saying that, right? If we can rest and digest, if we can activate the parasympathetic nervous system, this is calm down. Your body actually will just like go to work. So it doesn't matter what medicines you take, it doesn't matter what food you eat, it doesn't matter how hard you work at exercise or yoga or anything else. If your body doesn't rest, none of that matters. None of that matters. I'm not going to go further into that, but you're going to have to trust me. Let's come back up. And from there, I want to come up to standing. So you might come through a downward dog. Maybe you haven't had a nice stretch in your downward dog. And then take your time stepping forward and coming up. Breathe in, breathe out. Now, if you have the roller or a half dome, which is just a half one of those, I want you to put that ball mound and roll. So let's say you're not going to do a whole yoga practice. You certainly could just do this. Hold on to something, sit at your desk and roll. Rolling the fascia on the bottom of the foot is so important. Again, the foot suffers from poor posture, not moving, and poor walking, landing. And any other joint imbalance, the foot's always going to suffer. Sometimes it starts at bad shoes. I could go on and on. Some of you know how often. So just let that hang. Now, if you don't have the roller, so keep going with the roller if you've got it. If you don't, let's transfer to the block and hang and sort of lift. So I'm stepping on the other foot. I'm not stepping on this foot. I'm just leaning a little. Just a stretch. I'm trying to feel and pull apart the skin there. And then go to the other foot. And if you have the roller, use the roller. Otherwise, use the block. And use the toes. Be aware what the toes are doing. Again, most of my body weight's on the standing leg. What we're working on today is defining limits of what you'll do, what you'll tolerate. What's okay, what's not okay. And the nervous system is always just collecting information. And then it's up to our mind to interpret that and figure out this is me, this is not me. Some of that is the immune system, some of that is ego. What is me, what's not me? I'm not the kind of person that walks out in the middle of a conversation and ignores somebody who's trying to talk to me. Like, these are the rules that we have for ourselves, and it's your brain, things that you've adapted to that have taught you that. So let's see. Let's take this one foot, turn it over, and push the toes down into the floor. This one really surprises you. It surprises me every time I do this one. Like, wow. Why would I ever stretch? I don't never stretch. This is the top of my foot. I don't stretch it. So push down. You could even, kick it forward and roll it a little bit back. And really crack out those toes. Let's go to the other side. Now, in these videos, I'm just giving you like a shortened version. If I could, I will eventually make these longer, an hour and a half, so I can go through and hold the posture. I'm going to kick forward a little bit longer. So what you could do is play this again. So each time is almost like play this again. And then each time back to back, maybe you hear something different. And maybe you feel something different. All right. All right, let's come down to hands and knees again. So downward dog. Hands and knees. Let's take one knee out. And then circle that knee around. Oh. Now, it just so happens, for me, I'm feeling that side hip fascia here get super tight. I just came from a run. I haven't stretched. So that's super tight. That needs to be stretched. So my peripheral nervous system, somatic nervous system, peripheral somatic, the one that has to do with moving the muscles, just gave me a lot of information going, oh, that's tight, that's tight. Now it's tight because I just ran. It could just be tight though. It could just be you slept. It could just be you didn't move. It could be tension. It could be a lot of reasons. But the point is I felt it. And so what I want to do is stretch it. So I want to push down into it, kind of press. But you keep going with that circling. Whatever you need, go the other way. So the point is, a boundary is taking information into the brain and making some good decisions. So a boundary is, this is what I'll do. This is what I won't tolerate. Let's go the other leg. So first lift the leg. Remember about the leaning last week we talked about. So the core is always the center, and then circle. Why do I say the core is always the center? Well, it is. But it's the center of your nervous system as well. You know, we want to think it's the brain. The brain is kind of sitting on the top, making big decisions, but it's not the center. It's on the top, making decisions, I guess is the best way to say it. Go the other way. The core, again, is the enteric nervous system. The digestive nervous system is there because it's sensing more than the other ones. It's sensing something more internal. And so all boundaries start from the center. It may seem to you like boundaries should start at the outside. They don't. They start from the center because this is me. You know, out here isn't me. In here is me. All right, let's come into that plank again. I'm losing space here. I'm losing space on my mat. I'm going to try hanging this knee up in towards the same side. See if I can lean. I'm going to try grab this foot. I don't know. Ivy's giving me a little assist back there. And then see if I can fling this foot forward. Did you do that? And then twist open. Oh. Many ways to get into this pose. Revolved extended angle. Let's go the other way. So you can always grab your block. Turn this back foot. Twist the other way. Oh, you got this? So this is extended angle. Let's take this top hand. Take it to the occiput. Right, so that's where the skull meets the neck. So the brain, right, we're going to take this brain and with the thumb and the pointer finger, pull on my neck up like a telescope rising up. Okay, so what this does is it opens up the space where the vagus nerve, very important part of the nervous system, from the brain to the heart, again, part of that autonomic, has to do with regulating the body itself, like the heart and the lungs and the spleen and the kidneys and all of those internal things you don't think about. And then come down. So let's just try that thing again. We came from plank, I think. Take the other leg up. Hang. So elbow to knee. Then try grabbing the foot. And then step it forward. Yes? And then twist open. Good, then we'll go the other way. Spin the back leg and reach open. Same thing, so this top arm, once you twist the chest, so don't forget that. I actually see this a lot in my classes. I see a lot of the shoulder staying kind of square and the arm going up. So it might be helpful to like forget the arm and just do the shoulder a few times first to get that revolving the spine. Then take this top hand, find that occiput, that's the ridge there of the skull, and pull. You can do a little massaging action there, of course. It feels pretty good. I am not open today. I can just feel this all really tight in here. I haven't really done much past couple of days, so I'm really tight. So I'm gonna give up part of this so I can just, I'm focusing on opening all this fascia that holds me. Again, many reasons. One reason I was probably just sitting a lot. Did you hear that? All right, let's come around. Grab the blocks. This is just going to be a little fun. I'll keep this. Take these blocks and make sort of a little chair here. All right, so they're just right next to each other. And then sit. Now, when you sit, you bring your knees up. You should feel your bones. Your bones on the blocks. That shouldn't be too comfortable. So you know where they are. You know whether you're at the front or you're at the back. I don't know, a little bit towards the front, I guess, not off the edge. I'm going to try lifting up. Try that. So here's a really good example of what your boundary is. My boundary is, I'm not going to use the blocks at all. My boundary is, I'm going to try that, but I'm going to keep my feet down. The boundary is, I'm going to stay holding on. Your boundary could be someplace else. What will you do? What will you tolerate? Will you extend the legs? You could extend the arms. You could grab the feet. I actually like this one. Give this one a try. It looks a lot harder than it is. Getting here is a little bit hard, but once you're holding, this isn't actually hard to balance. We're pretty good at holding ourselves like this so that nothing bad is happening. Keep the chest lifting though. Again, never compressing that breath. How do you know you've gone too far? How do you know you've upset a boundary? Your body, things start going wrong. You're tired. You're just overwrought. You just can't seem to get your energy back. Your emotional reaction to something is way out of bounds. What was that? You blow up over nothing. You get sick, physically sick. You don't recover from things you should recover from. Your muscles are physically tight. So that's why we do yoga. And so why is this always tight over here? Why is this always tight over here? There's so many reasons, but it could just be your nerves. It could just be your nerves. Your nerves are what moves muscles. So if muscles are going to be tight, chances are it's nerves. So let's come to Sukha and actually come down and grab a blanket. Something I forgot to grab. So I'm going to actually grab a second mat. So here's an option. Just so happens this is what I have, so I'm going to grab a second mat. And so what we do is take the blanket and roll it so that it's like a cylinder, sort of like this. Or if you had a bolster, that would work, of course. I'm going to use a block. Actually, I have my ivory here, but we're going to put it in the lumbar spine. Now the purpose of this, let's see, I'm going to use my ivory. There's a block here, under your neck, right? Is I'm trying to push something into my spine, actually something kind of big, almost as big as the cylinder. Not quite. I could, but I'm not going to suggest that. Our kidneys, adrenaline, we talked about that in other classes. We do hold a lot of tension there, no doubt. This is our highest level of the sympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system is the fight or flight. We have a whole nervous system, an entire nervous system dedicated to freaking out, basically. So the way overused. So I said, how do you know a boundary's been crossed? We were setting up these boundaries. No, I won't take on that extra class. I'll help you, but I'm not going to take on your emotion. Whatever's going on with you is yours. Now, that's a stealing. In yoga, asteya is one of the yamas. Don't steal. So that's one of the things we're not supposed to do. If you steal somebody else's emotions or their problems, oh, help me. If you just help me with this one time, can I just ask you a question? Well, no, it's time to go home, but you just help them anyway. They're stealing. I'm stealing because that's your self-care time. So this should feel good in your low back. We're trying to push into it. So try pulling one leg up. Oh, that feels good. Stretch the other leg out. It actually feels good to have, for me, have something pushing into my lumbar spine. I like the mat. I think you could use a tennis ball, 2 tennis balls on either side of your spine. That's another option. And again, what's too hard? This is really a good example. Is a cinder block too hard? What would be too hard? Let's go to the other leg. That's a boundary. So don't rely on me, anyone, to tell you, this is right. Just like you buy a pair of shoes, just like you buy your own clothes, just like you buy your own couch. Someone can't tell you this is the right amount. It's your boundary. You set it from here, from your gut. So that felt pretty good. I want you to come to Shavasana. I'm just going to move this and use that to rest my neck on. I know I'm going to be off camera a little bit here, but all right. So your hand to that gut. That's important. Inhale, exhale. I want you to acknowledge as you're breathing slowly now that you're suffering. Like we are. We all, at every point, there's something, a suffering. And how does that feel in the gut? Whatever your challenge, whatever your personal suffering is, I'll share with you. Of course, right now I'm missing my daughter. She's gone back home. I can feel that. And if I go in there, I'll start crying. So for the purpose of this practice, I won't. So that's a boundary. Yeah, I feel it in there, but I'm just going to let it be there. Now my body will process that. It will. Unless I actively stop it from processing. Whenever I go to think of her, I stop. You know, I keep myself from processing. So again, our enteric nervous system, it knows when you're upset. It's very, very intuitive. Now, I want you to imagine that that's gone, that you've processed it and you're relaxed. And then so the rest of your body now is regenerating. So imagine that in your body now it's the night shift, and all the things that replenish. They're restocking the shelves, reorganizing memories. It's like you're getting a new body overnight. And breathe in slowly and breathe out. Direct your attention to this imagery of your body being restored. All the little tight spaces are now relaxed because you're relaxed. Everything's relaxed. And you're comfortable and you're safe. You are relaxed, you are comfortable, you are safe. Your breath is soft and gentle, and energy is moving everywhere that energy is needed. And more, you're getting extra energy because energy is no longer being diverted to hold up boundaries that you've not created. So the burden of holding is no longer the inner body. You've created this environment where you can relax and feel happy. So now breathe in, breathe out and smile. Relax your face, relax your jaw. Breathe in, breathe out and smile. Relax your face, relax your jaw. A soft touch. Roll to your side. And come up. Wanting a little bit more time in Shavasana, by all means. So just do that part again. Close your eyes and regenerate. That very last bit where you put your body into night mode, where it's rejuvenating itself. You have no stress, no worries, none of that internal dialogue, none of the negative. You hold on to a negative story. You find yourself on auto repeat. This is what she said, this is what happened. And you're this victim of your story over and over. Release yourself of that story. And then open your eyes. Good. So let that breath be worry-free. I breathe in, I expand. I breathe out, I am free. Here we go. Inhale, circle. Exhale, return to a rejuvenated, restored, and strong core. I honor your boundaries. Namaste. I honor your boundaries. Phineas and Ivory.